20 to 8 here at BBC Sussex. Now, here's a fascinating story. You know, when you go abroad to somewhere in the EU, if you're ill and you carry that little card, you know, that medical card, you get your free treatment, don't you? And it's similar for people abroad from the EU countries when they visit here. And you'd expect that what happens is at the end of that process, that the bill would go from one to the other, so that if you were treated over there, then they would reclaim that money from the NHS, and those foreign nationals who were treated here, we'd recoup their money from their own country. Aha! The MP for Crawley claims that at least in the last year, a local health trust wrote off nearly £500,000 owed by people from other European countries. He's basically been in contact with every health trust in England and Wales, seeing whether or not we do recoup this money. And he secured a debate in Parliament this afternoon. Henry Smith, good morning.
Good morning, Neil.
So I've got that right, isn't it? When the rule is if you go over there or they come over here and they're treated, we're entitled to the money back.
You've got it exactly right, Neil, except what you say, it's a case where we don't properly record when we are treating foreign nationals in NHS hospitals. Only probably about a third of trusts have any sort of recording system at all, what my Freedom of Information Act requests around the country showed. And we found out that we paid out through the European Health Insurance Card Scheme to other countries a staggering £1.7 billion for the treatment of Brits abroad, but we only managed to recover £125 million. So there's a huge differential, and the reason why we haven't recovered that is because we're just simply not recording at the point of treatment whether somebody is a foreign national or not.
And if you don't record it, you can't claim the money back?
Precisely.
Seems incredible.
It is an incredible situation, and so the proposed piece of legislation that I'm giving a first reading to today would establish a proper audit system in hospitals and also GP practices as well, because another issue is that if you need to see a GP in, say, Germany or France, you're charged an initial €10 fee to do that, and you're recorded as being a foreign national being treated. But over here, GPs have no requirement to record whether somebody is a foreign national, and indeed are encouraged to register everybody who comes to them and wants to be registered on the system. And once you're registered on the system with the GP, essentially you have unlimited access to the NHS, including free prescriptions.
Right, okay, which is what the rules say. I mean, we would expect similar sort of thing if we went into Europe. Now, we did put calls into East Sussex Hospital's NHS Trust yesterday. They had no comment for us. The Surrey and Sussex NHS Healthcare Trust failed to reply to our call. Have you managed to get anything out of the trusts?
Well, what was very worrying indeed is that I sent out 445 Freedom of Information Act requests to the hospital trusts that cover the country, asking a simple question: can you give me a breakdown of the foreign nationals treated over the last several years? And many of the trusts said, we just simply don't record this information, therefore we can't respond. Of those who did record information, it was very patchy. They recorded some information, not others, and there was one hospital trust who even came back to me and said, what do you mean by a patient? So it was extremely concerning.
Right, okay. I suppose that there is, the only thing you can think of is that the actual cost of the system might be so expensive that it's not worth their while.
Well, I think that would be a false economy argument, because I think we are losing from the cursory research that I've already been able to do, and I think if I was to delve into the issue even more, I would uncover more. I think the British health budget is losing out to the tune of hundreds of millions of pounds a year for the treatment of foreign nationals that we're not then charging back through reciprocal agreements such as the European Insurance Health Card Scheme, and therefore, these days with computerized auditing, it's quite easy to have a code on every piece of internal billing that would say this was for the treatment of, say, a citizen of Italy or Greece or whatever it is, and so that system could then charge that money back to the relevant country. Other countries manage to do it, but
we don't.
But we don't, and the reason for this legislation is to require the NHS to have an audit code. I think once you've got it in the system, actually it would be administratively very small and actually would ultimately save the NHS a lot more than it cost.
Very interesting. Henry Smith, thanks very much indeed. Quarter to 8, there's going to be